Guys, welcome back to me being cheap. I did find my copy of the Dave Ramsey Total Money Makeover. So I thought I would talk to you about how long does it really take the average person to get out of debt. So I went back through old bank statements. I looked at notes I had put in this book. I looked at notes that I had included in my my little binder, my notebook where I keep track of bills and what I've paid. And I've assembled a close timeline to what it took me to do it. It's the weekend. Monday is a holiday. I won't be able to get to the bank and get exact bank statements and so forth because we're talking years ago. So it's not something that's out there that's online. All right, so we started in Sunday school. We read the Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. And I made some notes that I started August 2011. So at the time of filming this video, it's January 2019. So, you know, that's been quite a while ago. So let's take a look and see what I had. Okay, so at the point that I got started, I had $26,437 of debt. That's not including the mortgage. So baby step one is you save $1,000 in your baby emergency fund. And then step two is you list your debts and you start paying them off. Let's talk about baby step one first. So I actually had some money in savings. So what they instruct you to do is to take your savings, your non-retirement savings, take that down to $1,000 and spend everything else on paying off your debt. So I did that. So my baby step one actually started August 2011, and I had that done at that time because I had a little bit of money in savings. Now, I actually paid off my IRS debt first because the IRS will mess with you. They'll attach all types of fees and penalties to it. And what had happened is I didn't forget to pay my taxes. I had actually made a mistake in the math, and they caught that, and they were nice enough to not assess a penalty. They just said, hey, you owe this much more. So I paid that off first and then started with the other debts. And so I had some medical debt in the amount of $250, Cub Cadet in the amount of $800. That was actually a Troy-built chipper shredder that I had bought, and it was also a leaf vacuum. And I have a large yard, and I thought, oh, that would be great for being able to clean up the yard. I have a lot of trees, and I thought I'd be able to deal with the limbs that fall. And I just had a lot of problems with that machine. It seems like the sticks would get stuck down in the hopper, and you'd have to disassemble it. If the leaves were remotely wet, they wouldn't vacuum at all. It's supposed to vacuum and shred. And then it was a very dusty piece of equipment. Like you would come out just brown from the dust, and everything was just dirty and gritty. So this was a very, very sad purchase. I ended up getting rid of that. It actually cost me more than $800. I don't remember what the original price was, but the time that I started my Total Money Makeover, this was $800. And if I had to claim a stupid tax, I would probably claim that one. That was something I should not have bought. I owed Lowe's $1,856. That was for some work I had done on the house, had an addition built, and this was some of the stuff to wrap that up. More medical debt in the amount of $2,339. I actually bought a little used car after I got a divorce. I was working as a hospice nurse, and the vehicle that I was using was a pickup truck that was not very fuel efficient, and so I bought a little car. I thought, oh, you know, I need to establish credit on my own. This would be good. It's another one of those dumb things that I shouldn't have done. But it was a good car. It was a good car. And when I was done with the car, I was able to sell it and get a lot of my money back. I think I sold the car for $2,000, and at this point, I owed $2,072, and I think it was about a $4,000 car. So not a major loss, and I did drive that car for a long time. And then my Sally Mae. My Sally Mae amount at the time that I started my Dave Ramsey Total Money Makeover was $18,070. So for a total of $26,437. This was what needed to pay down in my baby step 2. I went back and looked on my Facebook and saw where I had posted my last payment that I made to Sally Mae for my student loan, and that was on March 30th, 2013. So starting August 2011 to March 2013, that's about 20 months. So again, step 1 was pretty instantaneous because I had the money and the savings, and then step 2 was about 20 months. So here in a minute, I will tell you about step 3. All right, step 3. Step 3 is to save 3 to 6 months worth of expenses in your baby emergency fund. Now for me, as a single person, as a single female, I felt more comfortable for having 6 months in the bank, 6 months worth of savings. So for me, that's about $18,000. About $3,000 a month is expenses, and so just multiply that by 3. And I'm going to say this was about 20 months. So I know that I made that last payment to Sally Mae on March 30th of 2013. I have record of my first extra payment on my mortgage for November 2014. So I at the most it was 20 months. I'm pretty sure it was a lot less, because as far as the other baby steps, this is baby step 3, is saving up this fully funded emergency fund. Step 4 is to start investing 15% of your income into retirement. And then the next step after that is, if you have children, you're going to start putting money in for their college. And so I know for me, it took me a little bit to get my 15% being invested into retirement. And then I actually had to shop around and set up the 529 accounts for my children. And I'm pretty busy with work and being a single mom, so I know that I was probably capable of making the extra payments on the mortgage a little bit before November 2014, but in fact, this is the time that I made the first $300 extra payment towards the principal on my mortgage. So I'm going to say about 20 months to save up $18,000. But in all actuality, that was about 20 months to do baby steps 3, 4, or start on 4, start on 5. And I'm pretty sure it's less than 20 months. But let's just say, because I don't know the dates, we'll just say 20 months to save up $18,000 for the emergency fund. Okay, so we talked about step number 4, which is to put 15% of your income into retirement, which I did that through work, and then and they do match some of that, so that's nice. I'm actually saving a little bit more than 15%. And then the next step is money into savings for the children's college education, and I selected a 529 for that, and I do make a monthly contribution for each child into their 529. So hopefully they don't have those stupid student loans. Hopefully we could just get this paid for and not have to worry about student loans. Okay, so that takes us to baby step 6, which is what I am working on right now. And so I'm going to pause the camera and I'm going to fill out my whiteboard, and we'll talk about baby step 6. All right, welcome back. Let's talk about baby step 6. Baby step 6 is when you throw everything else that you have towards the mortgage while simultaneously putting 15% into retirement, as well as funding your children's college fund. Okay, so I have record of my first extra $300 that I paid towards my mortgage on November of 2014. Back in the summer of 2016, I made a lump payment of $20,296. This money is just money that was building up in my checking account, since I had funded my emergency fund. This was just extra, and I don't know why. I just didn't go ahead and pay the extra on the mortgage at that time. I was doing $300 a month. But anyway, this just built up, between November 2014 and then the summer of 2016. So I paid a lump sum of $20,296. And if you can see my debt thermometer, that would be this round ball down here. Now, when I actually started aggressively paying my mortgage off, I thought it was going to take 3.5 years. I started this process in this YouTube channel August 31st of last year. So, actually, I guess that would be of 2016, not of 17, because we're in 2018 now. So far, I have paid off $26,000, and I've paid that $26,000 off in 17 months. So that works out, if we take $26,000 and divide it by 17, that is about $1,500 a month. Now, I checked my bank statement this morning online, and it actually shows that my mortgage has $24,000 left. If we look at what's left here, this is actually $29,000. But again, when you pay extra and you're not paying all that on interest, you do save some money. So right now I'm, $5,000 ahead of the game. So I have $24,000 left on my mortgage as of today. If I divide that by $1,500 a month, it would say that I have 16 months left. So in all actuality, if I stay on track due to average performance, I will have paid it off in 2.7 years or 2 3/4 years versus what I originally calculated to be the 3.5 years. Now, if we go back and start from November 2014 to the final payoff, I am estimating that was 4.5 years total. So, I started the aggressive payoff in August of 2016. I was doing a little bit of pay down in the amount of $300 per month, plus the lump sum that I paid on there. When I started this aggressive payoff, the balance was $55,000 on the mortgage. So it would have been $55,000 plus $20,296 would be the total amount that I had to pay down basically over 4.5 years. Would have been a little bit more actually, because I had a couple years that I was just making minimum payment. So anyhow, so that is an estimate of my baby step 6. Again, the aggressive payoff was supposed to be 3.5 years. If I stay on track, looks like I'm going to get it done in 2.75 for an overall time commitment of paying off the mortgage, which was a 30-year mortgage, have it paid off in 4.5 years. All right, stay with me. I'm going to pause the camera. We'll give you an overall time summary of what it takes the average person to get completely out of debt. Okay, so let's summarize the length of time for the baby steps. Okay, for me, baby steps 1 and 2 happened simultaneously. It was 20 months total. Baby step 3, which is the emergency fund, 20 months total. And again, Baby step 2 was $26,403. Baby step 3 was $18,000. Steps 4 and 5, these are ongoing, 15% into retirement, and that's monthly, 15% monthly. And then number 5 is monthly contributions for a college education fund. Baby step 6, the total amount at the time I started paying extra on the mortgage, the total amount was $75,296. And I'm estimating that this is going to take a total of 54 months. So altogether, 54, divide that by 12, we come up with 7.8 years, which seems like a long time. But let's think about this. How much is the average term of a car payment? Isn't that like about 5 years now? This isn't but about 2 more years over that. You'll see these little asterisks. This one, my Sally Mae, my fabulous student loan, which made up the bulk of that, $26,000. I think the original amount that I was paying down in this debt snowball was about $18,000 when I started on this. Of course, I had been paying on it for years before. The estimated original payoff date, I had noted if I was just paying it like they had prescribed, just paying the minimum monthly, my actual payoff would have been November 23rd, 2025. And so right now we're in 2018, so yeah, if I was just going along fat, dumb, and happy, I'd still be paying on that student loan until 2025. Good grief. And then my mortgage, you'll see 2 asterisks there. I took the mortgage out in 2009. It was a 30-year mortgage, so that would have me paying on that mortgage until 2039. I'd be like in my 60s or something. So yes, 7.8 years does seem like a lot of time, but it's a heck of a lot better than not doing it at all and still paying on a student loan until 2025 and being an old person and still having a mortgage. So there you go. This is an estimate of how long it takes the average person to get out of debt. And I am a single mom. So single mom, I'm a nurse. This is it. This is the average. Total 7.8 years. And you know, I've been working on this for a long time, you know, since 2011. But you know what? I estimate that I've only got about 16 months left on this mortgage, and then all this extra money that I was paying on debt and mortgage, it'll be mine to invest and do whatever. So when I started this YouTube channel to aggressively pay off my mortgage and show everybody that it is possible and ways to save money, I was wanting to invest in real estate, and so I might still do that, or I might decide to invest in something else. So who knows? But the bottom line is I have that option now because I have been busting it to get through all this and to get out of debt. And I will tell you, when the emergencies come up, they're no longer emergencies. So I can remember very early on, being a single mom, I had a couple things that hit me all at once, and I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? The timing belt went out on my little Honda Civic, which was actually that car that was in my baby step 2 in the pay down. That went out at the same time. My furnace went out. It was still under warranty, but it's so buried up in the attic, it took, you know, a team of grown men the better half of a day. So I was stuck with a timing belt bill, the furnace going out, and there was one other emergency that happened at the same time. And you know, it put me in a bind, and I did not like being that way. You know, it put me to where, you know, I didn't have money for certain things that I needed that month, and that's a very scary feeling. So this does offer some security. So I can tell you, when I started this, I was working as a hospice nurse for a local hospice office. And then while I was working at that hospice office, they said, well, we only have room for a certain number of nurses. So either you or this other person, we either had to quit or go work for the main hospice office up in Wichita in the float pool. And so I thought that sounded fun. So I was like, okay, I'll go do that. So there's one job change. And I was working float pool and loving that job. It was awesome. Got to go all over South Central Kansas. I had, my own little hospice car and just, go in, take really good care of the patients, do extra wound care, just give them extra attention. And there was no nights, no on call. So it was a great position. I loved it. But, one day they called about 26 of us in there and they said, hey, since this hospice company has been bought by somebody else, we're no longer having the special services, which included the float pool. It included the nurses that answered the phone. It included the nurses that took care of patients that were in crisis, like continual care. And so, there was one day that there was like 26 of us that got called in and we were laid off. And there were people that were absolutely freaking out. They're like, oh my goodness, how am I going to pay my bills? Somebody else had, they were just getting married the very next day or something. So, stuff like that happens. We were all good nurses, but the company had decided, we're not going to use special services. But I was already, I'm guessing I was probably in the middle of baby step 3. And it's like, you know what, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And then after that, I took a temporary job that lasted the better part of a year. I knew it was going to be ending. And then I knew I was going to have to find something else. And so I landed with the company that I work now. And then, what Dave Ramsey says is once you get this type of stuff in order and start managing your money well, it's like better things, better opportunities happen for you. So not only did I get a good position with the company that I'm with now, but then I got a promotion. So since I have actually started this process, I've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different positions, and each one just got better and better. But it does give you some security, because sometimes there are job losses, or there may be times when you get sick, and it's helpful if you don't have all these debt payments that you have to worry about. And if something were to happen, I'd pray that it wouldn't, but I think we'd be okay for 6 months if something happened and I suddenly couldn't work. I'd still be able to pay the bills. So yeah, this is a lot of hard work. In the grand scheme of things, it's not that much time. Now obviously the best thing would be to not wander into this debt in the first place, and then all you have to worry about is paying for a house. But I was like the average American, had a lot of debt. I had already gotten rid of most of the credit card debt except for the Lowe's card, but there was a time before that I actually had credit card debt. That was before I started the Total Money Makeover. I was taking steps ahead of time to work on my debt. But anyhow, just some statistics. And again, I know I did an episode on influential books. I couldn't find my copy at the time, but this is Dave Ramsey, The Total Money Makeover, and I do highly recommend it. It can be life-changing, and not only can it change your life, but it could change your children's lives too. All right, thanks for watching. I'd love to hear your progress on your debt snowball. Feel free to leave it down below in the comments, and I'll give some shout outs during my next filming. All right, thanks for watching.